Good evening. Calling the Quabbin Regional School Committee to order for Thursday, September 8th, 2022. First item on the agenda is attendance. Roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly? Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier?
Here.
Ms. Cormier?
Here.
Mr. Wiggler?
Here.
Mr. Nutter?
Here.
Mr. Jean-Francois? Mr. Chairman?
Here. Before I go to the agenda, I'd like to have a moment of silence. Marcino Tex Sarabia, a school committee member who has been involved with us for many, many years, who recently got off the committee about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, due to personal health issues. Tex has recently died, and I'd like a moment of silence for a man who gave not only time and his time and talent for the students of Quabbin, but also he also served on this committee. So a moment of silence, please.
He was married to a classmate of mine, too.
Thank you. And you said he was married to a classmate, and what he did also for students, but he also was very, very involved in the community. What he was doing with the health perspective for Hardwick, he did a lot. And so I'm grateful for what he did for this. And I know he wanted to spend as much time as he could with his family and what he did. So thank you for that moment of silence. And if there's no other objection, just one other item before I go into the agenda. Dr. Allen asked me that he would like to have a point of order to have a comment about something, especially about what we do here, what we advocate for, and something he asked me would I be willing to give him the opportunity to share that perspective to the community and to the committee. So if there's no objection, Dr. Allen.
You've heard me talk about globalism. And the world that our children are growing up to inhabit just is not the same as it used to be. And I happen to have an Exhibit A today with me. That's David down there, David Utagawa. His grandmother was a Swede, came to this country as an au pair. His grandfather was from Japan, hence his name Utagawa, even though his parents grew up in Sweden. Mother went back to Sweden, his father went back to Sweden, grew up there, came here, and in his senior year graduated from Quabbin. And when the exchange students would come, the first time I would take them out for a sailboat ride up in Maine and said, "Why are you here? What do you want to do? What's your goal? What's your objective? What do you think?" He said, "Well, I want to be a pilot, but I don't think I can." So, well, his father graduated from here, went back to Sweden, graduated from school there, came back here to Las Cruces, went through a flight training program, and is now a pilot with American Airlines. David grew up in Ahwatukee, Arizona, which is outside of Phoenix. He's a baseball pitcher. He's on a scholarship to Northwestern. He was pitching in a semi-pro league, the Appalachian League, this summer. And he called me and said, "Look, I want to go to this, what's Cressy?
Cressy.
Yeah, Cressy Sport. It's a sports place in Hudson, right? You know of it, Dave. I think it's well regarded." And he said that there's high school, college, and he said there's pro players that have been in the major leagues they're working on. So he's been here the last month, going there, living with me, I loaned him my truck to drive. But this is such a good example of the world that we live in and the people, you know, Sweden, Japan, the US. It goes back. I think he said he's going to meet his mother tomorrow in Chicago. Saturday, he's flying back to start his semester. His mother's meeting him and going on to Sweden to see her parents there. But this is our world now. And since David was here and he's been living with me the last month, I thought this was a good opportunity to introduce him and kind of use as an exhibit to make my point. David, stand up and say hello.
Oh,
Hello, David.
Thank you.
Did you say you were an exchange student with here?
His father was an exchange student
Okay, your father
and graduated from Quabbin.
from Quabbin.
He lived with me for the year. And his father was actually born in this country because this is where his parents from Sweden and Japan met and really met. He was born here so that he could have either American or Swedish citizenship. And I think he came to live with me for the year, or came here, because he wanted to sort of see, do I want to be a Swede or do I want to be an American? And even though he went back to Sweden for 2 or 3 more years, he always wanted to be a pilot. So he came back to this country for as I said, the flight training, and he's worked his way up and now is what I think is a pretty prestigious job as being the head pilot, one of the top pilots for American Airlines.
Fantastic. Any other comment for Dave? Anything that you want to share with us, aside from, as Dr. Allen giving you the overview of not only the perspective of how the world touches us in many ways from various countries, but how has your experience been? And you said you're going to Northwestern in Chicago.
A baseball scholarship there.
And a pitcher?
yep.
Fantastic.
He's fluent in English, fluent in Swedish, almost in Spanish. When you grow up in Arizona, that's a good thing, is to have some Spanish.
Did you enjoy New England this past month?
Yeah. I have, as a kid, I came here every now and then to visit Richard and his family, but it was kind of nice to be here for a more extended period of time, so.
And we're extremely thankful. Not only has Dr. Allen been on this committee for many, many years, the commitment of exchange and the relationships that he has not only cultivated and connected with, but opening his home and his warmthness of bringing adults and continuously always talking to us, not only about we may hear the word globalism, but you really understand how small the world really is, or how connected we all are, however you want to say it or look at it that way. But when Dr. Allen asked, I think it was an absolute perspective to tell us a little bit about you. And again, even a connection of Quabbin with your father. So that's even phenomenal of how it stays connected.
Well, a little addendum that I find so interesting is I'm now getting second generation of my exchange students. So some of you will remember Finn here 4 or 5 years ago. He now has gone through the police academy in Hamburg, Germany, and has worked his way up to the SWAT team
Wow.
in the police in Hamburg. And in France, there was a girl who was, her brother was here a lot. I don't know, 15, 20 times or more. She came when she was 16. And some years ago, we stopped by to see her. She lives in Saint-Germain-en-Laye in France. Her daughter was in college, wanted to go to Boston College, but her English wasn't up to snuff. I said, "I'll send her." So she came for a month, passed the TOEFL, which is the test you need to pass,
The language.
and came to Boston College for a semester. And David, so now there's a number of second generation students or, young people from the original group.
It's fantastic.
It is. One of them is a retired colonel in the French Army, lives in Madagascar now, married a girl from Madagascar, has adopted 2 little girls at age 3. They're 4 or 5 now. And he calls me and they sing French and Malagasy, which is the native language there they speak. But he's taught them a little bit of English and they sing me songs. And he's going to bring them over in the next, year or so.
Fantastic. Good. Any other comment? Thank you, Dr. Allen, and thank you, David, for coming and sharing, and the connections are phenomenal. So welcome and enjoy your semester and your time at Northwestern.
I told him he could go.
You can stay if you'd like. And we're not offended if you leave.
Mr. Chairman, you just for the record, you may want to announce that this meeting's being recorded, just
Sure.
the viewers know, but
Okay. As we have had Zoom for the past couple of years dealing with COVID, and then with the state giving the blessing for having Zoom or remote participation, back in the spring, we were also making sure that we're also recording so that not only can folks see this, if you're not live or here in attendance, that it's also being recorded. And we were starting it up for September of 2022 school year through the Technology Committee and Dave Marsh's perspective and with the director and all Andy's and the Andrews of the world to make it happen. So this is not only live as we are here, and people who remember, is it Memorex? Some of us may remember that, but some may not even know what Memorex is. And it's not only in Zoom, but it also is recorded for viewing for our towns and to be recorded for anybody who wants to watch Quabbin Regional School Committee. And again, if anybody, just as we're still having remote participation, hopefully, we'll keep that in, but we also want folks here if they want to speak. If you add public comment, if there's someone that would like to speak, we would ask you to, as the protocol has been, would you be able to, in the chat box, be able to, Jessica Bennett, the executive secretary, is overseeing it, keeps that alive and keeps that going. Would you email her that your name, your address, and the subject that you may want to speak to on public comment? More than welcome to have that as part of our work in the committee. I'd like to go into the agenda. The first item is the approval of minutes.
So moved.
The first one is, hold on, doctor, on this couple. The first one is July 19th. And that's our last meeting. We didn't have one in August because we'll hear from the superintendent because the budget was on the first and foremost perspective. We didn't need to have a meeting. We could have, but we didn't. So the first one is July of 2022 minutes is in front of you. Also was mailed to you, emailed as well.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any potential corrections, omissions, or potential deletions? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
abstain.
Ms. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. In the approval minutes, there's a corrected minutes of April 27, 2021. Although we visit and we do this, I'm going to defer to the superintendent to the exact, or Jess, I spoke with Jess the other, emailed Jess. There was a particular correction that was, that needs to be addressed. And then we can, and it's in front of us, Steve, right? Okay, we have it right here. Jess or Dr. Muir, would you want to walk us through?
I'm going to defer to Jess or Cheryl because this is really a
It's a numbers,
The auditors
it's a number
picked
piece.
up in the audit, so. Go ahead, Jess.
It was basically just a typo. The budget that was voted on was 35,589,974. And what was originally typed in the minutes was 35,389,974. All the documents that went with the minutes and were at the meeting reflected the 35,589,974. So they picked up on that, which is why we need to correct.
Okay.
Move adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. If there's no other further comment or question on it?
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yeah.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
And it appears Mr. Kelly is here now?
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Thank you for that, and the auditor and Cheryl and everybody else. Again, it goes back to making sure everything, and again, I kind of like that. Now we have an auditor who picked up, even though didn't have to say anything. Nobody would potentially be the wiser, but again, speaking to the public trust, the public good, and the public eye of what we do and who we hire to do what needs to be done. So again, thank you, Cheryl. Administrative reports. Superintendent.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have, I'm going to start, I see that Captain Brannick is here, and I'm going to start with an item that is timely for approval of a field trip for the NJROTC program. Typically, Captain, as those of you who've been on the
Yes.
committee know that Captain Brannick usually attends a meeting and outlines the entire itinerary
In August.
for his cadets and his program for the entire school year. And generally, the committee approves all of the events at one time. Because we didn't have an August meeting, that didn't happen. And sort of the most recent request for approval is for an event that happens at the end of September. We are going to ask for approval. It's not on the agenda as it typically would, but this is something that in some ways fell through the cracks just because of the absence of the August meeting where we would have brought it forward. So we would like, if Mr. Chairman, if you would consider approving this field trip, I will allow Mr. Captain Brannick to outline the details.
Absolutely.
Move the recommendation.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
Beautiful. I'd like, if we could have a quick outline, and that'd be nice. Commander or Captain, and look forward to seeing you at the
Kind of like the
October.
doctor thing there for a moment.
And then before you give a quick outline on that, because in the superintendent report, like to see you next month in regards to the year. Apologize that we didn't get our August meeting and we didn't get the September, but at least we can get this approved this evening for the end of September. And then we'd love to hear from you and see the outline, which you do every year with your cadets and the great work that you do.
Well, thank you very much. And good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to do this remotely. I really appreciate it. I'm Captain Brannick, going into my 15th year here at Quabbin. My cohort, Lieutenant Friedel, going into her 12th year at Quabbin and 23rd year overall. The reason I wanted to speak with you this evening was approval of our annual basic leadership training, BLT, or as the kids like to call it, mini boot camp. It takes place from the 29th of September to the 2nd of October. That's a Thursday through Sunday. It's at Naval Station Newport in Newport, Rhode Island. It's hosted or the hosts for us is my latest command before I retired from the Navy, Officer Training Command Newport. They run the officer candidate school down there, the officer staff school. They teach doctors, lawyers, nurses, medical administrators, how to be naval officers. So they're our hosts. I had a meeting this past summer with the commanding officer down there, who is being gracious enough to host us. The transportation down is by school bus, and transportation back hopefully will be by those parents who attend graduation on that Sunday. Cost for the kids is approximately $45. We're going to try to get it down to 40. It's the most we've ever charged. The guests that we invite, which is Oxford, pay double that. But we keep it down for our kids. Tomorrow and Saturday, we begin our orientation of our new cadets. We have about 31, 32 terrific freshman class this year, or new cadet class, I should say. So we do orientation tomorrow afternoon and Saturday. Basic leadership training 3 weeks later amps it up and really gives them that bonding that we're looking for. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. They're going to get a lot of training and education at Newport by active duty, Navy and Marine Corps drill instructors. I don't know these drill instructors personally. I did meet with a number of them this past summer because they worked with me at a leadership academy SAIL training that I did for 125 kids down in Newport. And I also know the ilk of these men and women in that they fully understand that these are other people's children and not adults coming into the Navy or the Marine Corps. And so I will be briefing them about that just as a reminder. Some of them did it last year. Many of them did it during the summer, but we'll be getting the assistance of some of these folks at the end of September. That's already been cleared by their commanding officer. This event builds a lot of camaraderie, a lot of self-confidence, a lot of self-discipline, a lot of attention to detail. They come out of there walking very proud of themselves because it's something that nobody else does. It's only for 3 nights and 4 days, but they really feel like they learn a lot and that they're tested. But really, the biggest thing here is they come out as a team. And that's really very, very important. Their sense of accomplishment is absolutely terrific. How do we do this down there? Well, they many different things that we do, and not necessarily in this order of importance or anything, but they do drill and then a drill competition. They do physical fitness every morning at 5 o'clock for about 45 minutes. And we don't hope to put them into shape. We just want to get them into some kind of a routine where they can get to learn physical fitness and enjoy it. And then we have a physical fitness competition, which is kind of nice. They have personnel and room inspections done by the drill instructors as well as by myself. They have presentations, leadership presentations and discussions about suicide prevention, bullying, hazing, sexual harassment, civility, how to talk with people, adults and their fellow shipmates. And probably as important as any of that, upstander intervention. I tell the cadets, don't take out your camera to film it. Step in and say something or go get somebody. And that's all about upstander intervention. I believe that has saved a lot of pain and agony for some people and very potentially lives. So we emphasize that is a 3-hour window that we do all those presentations. Water survival and water safety in the pool, and it's a combat training pool where they train SEALs at. I know all 3 of the instructors, so it's very, very safe. And then they get an introduction to naval simulators. Every surface warfare officer that goes into the Navy goes through the simulators that we're going to bring them through down there. And each one of them will get an opportunity for about an hour to go into these simulators and be exposed to that kind of technology. How many cadets? About 45 to 50 cadets from Quabbin potentially. Our unit is very healthy this year. We have 77, which is a great number, especially with the retention from last year is really good. We've invited Oxford to come along with us. They will probably bring about 15 cadets. And we've also invited Fall River. They have a very nice ROTC unit there. However, they're just guests. Oxford and Fall River are guests. The lieutenant has organized it. I oversee it. But the real good news is that the cadets actually run it. The senior cadets, led by Summer Barringer, will actually run the basic leadership training, but there will always be adults present, Quabbin or Oxford adults present. We have 6 chaperones at least, will be in attendance, and more likely 7 or 8, depending upon the number of cadets total. Questions?
Any questions for the captain?
I have some comments.
Go ahead, Dr. Allen.
I've had some of my foreign exchange students go through this program. The last one was Finn 4 years ago, who, as I said, partly based on this, decided to become a policeman and then a SWAT member in Hamburg, Germany. So I know this program from the inside, so to speak. And I'm glad that we got to hear some of the overview of the program. Summer Barringer that he mentioned is Evan's daughter, for those of you who didn't know. I mean, she's a terrific kid. And the ROTC program is just outstanding, and these trips are up. And so this is a wonderful thing. When you meet these ROTC kids, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, the courtesy, the civility that he was mentioning are very, very evident. And it's heartwarming to see some children, because they are still children in many ways, able to show this kind of manner and courtesy and so forth. So it's a great job you're doing.
Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Summer Barringer, by the way, just for your situational awareness here, has her blue and gold officer interview. I think it's this Sunday, because she is a candidate for the Naval Academy, and also has scheduled already her interview with Senator Warren's office.
Wow.
Which is she's a mover. There's a reason why she's the commanding officer.
Well, this is what, 4 or 5 kids you've had in the last few years, Naval Academy?
Well, if she's fortunate enough to get in, there's no guarantees when it comes to the Naval Academy. She will be the 4th cadet to go to the Naval Academy in the last 6 years. I think it is maybe 7. Kristen Skerry is now a nuclear power engineer on a submarine stationed out of Portsmouth. We have another cadet that is graduated a little over a year ago. He is an explosive ordnance demolition diver, an officer. Joe Day is in his senior year and already selected for nuclear power submarines. He's selected a year early than what you normally do. So, but we got great kids that have ROTC scholarships. And then we have some pretty great kids that are in the workforce out there as well that are contributing to, in other ways to our community and our country. So, yeah, they're all good. They're all good kids trying to get better by being an ROTC.
Yeah, but they get a free education at a very high level when they go to the Naval Academy. That's great. And then the University of, we have 2 at the University of Maine now.
We have 2 students with full rides at on a 5-year program. I think they'll both finish in 4, quite frankly. One is just beginning and the other one is entering his senior year. They have a program. Excuse me?
You have one at VMI too, don't you?
No, he graduated already, and he's, I think, about to go up for captain, which is the same as a lieutenant in the Navy. He's about, I think he graduated about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Wow. So no, and then I know if it's possible at the next meeting, would you have the outline for the year?
Oh yes, sir, I will. Most certainly.
That would be great. Sorry,
Most
thanks.
certainly.
Sorry that we didn't have one in August, but if there's no other further comments or questions?
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
How many kids do we have in nuclear submarines the last
that's-
few years?
That's a great question. We we just had a student that graduated 3 years ago, decided, you know what, I'm not liking this college thing. I'm going to enlist in the Navy. And so she saw a recruiter who I met with today, and she started nuclear power training down in Charleston, South Carolina, about a month and a half ago. She's number 3 in her class and loving it. The interesting thing about that, sir, is that you go to nuclear power school for a year to a year and a half. It's a year and a half, a year of education, then 6 months of internship kind of. You come out of there with about 85 hours of college credit, mostly in the engineering field. And so somebody that finishes that in the top 3 most often are offered an opportunity to go to the Naval Academy or go to college and get with an ROTC scholarship, finish up and come back as an officer before they've even hit the fleet. So it's a magnificent program. I think in the last 14 years, you don't get one every year. It really takes a special person, but I would say we have 3 officers and probably about 12 enlisted that went into nuclear power submarines.
And John Allen, it's another one.
Yeah. Yes. That came out of the blue. Mr. Allen, the young man, didn't like high school much, but he's killing it in the Navy. I think he's already in E5 and he's on nuclear power submarines, and he's eligible for a $100,000 bonus here if he re-enlists.
Yeah, and our teacher Bolger was on the nuclear subs.
Yes,
Mr. Bolger.
That's impressive.
Anything else, Ned?
But I want to make something clear, Mr. Kelly, if I can, though. Okay.
Yes,
The lieutenant and I run the ROTC program, but it's the teachers that teach them physics, that teach them calculus, that teach them other STEM stuff, the chemistry, the bio. Okay. Those teachers prepare these folks academically to go ahead and take on that challenge of the Naval Academy and ROTC scholarships at other schools, as well as do what they do in all the schools that they have to go when they go in the Navy. So the lieutenant and I are very careful to always give those folks the kudos that they deserve, because they're the ones that do the academics.
Well said.
thank you.
There's no other question or comment. Roll call for approval, please.
Is there going to be a motion?
Well, it was already motioned.
Second?
It was already seconded.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry. Who seconded?
Dr. Allen seconded, and
Was it somebody?
Mr. Kelly.
Yeah, I
Mr.
think.
Kelly, yeah, Mr. Kelly.
That's fine. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I missed that myself. Kelly and Allen.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes,
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. And again, thank you, Captain, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month for
Yes, sir.
what else is happening throughout the year. And again, we have, the approval is okay for the 29th through October 4th, right?
2nd of October.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Captain.
Very
Thanks,
good evening.
Superintendent?
So I just have another item that I wanted to just sort of bring to everyone's attention. I know Mrs. Bennett sent an email to committee members. We are experiencing an extreme paper shortage in the district. And not only has the cost of paper skyrocketed, but the reliability of delivery of paper has been very uncertain. So we would like to begin next month with having school committee members have Chromebooks. If you're in attendance in person, Andrew Walsh and the tech department will prepare Chromebooks for you so that you can access all the documents electronically while you're here. If there's someone who feels really strongly that they need a paper copy, let Jess know. We will have additional technical assistance on site for the first few meetings. So if you have any difficulty navigating the agenda items or finding things in the drive, we can certainly assist people. So we're doing everything we can.
I want paper.
So noted. All right, and then I will draw committee members' attention to the new format for our director's reports. I will also pull it up on the screen. Oops. So folks at home can see that. In an effort to provide information in writing, in our, I will talk about this in a moment, but in our budget process, we realize, we think that helping members of the community be more connected to the ongoing work in the school district may reap some benefits for us. So we thought that we could prepare this report, use it as our school committee reports, and then we will send it to town officials.
Yes.
Every month, we will post it on, on our website and such. We have chosen to sort of a theme of Quabbin by the numbers for the summer. We will try to choose a theme every month. This, again, I will not go through all of the details here. There's a great deal of detail. I will point out a few items in my report, and then I'll ask each director to chime in with the highlights of their report. But this really is sort of a snapshot of some of the things that happened within the district over the summer. And as you can see, we have been very busy. I do want to again, reiterate that we now have a budget, and we did have to go through 8 town meetings to get that budget. But as of August 22nd, we are successful in our attempts to pass the budget. So that was very, very much appreciated by the communities and those who attended those meetings to support us. We do have 2 new school leaders this year. You met Principal DeMoraes in your July meeting, but you have not met Miss Cranston, Ashley Cranston. So Ashley Cranston is a long-time elementary teacher in our district, and has recently been appointed as the assistant principal team chairperson for Ruggles Lane School. So you may remember that as part of the budget process, we reduced, in one of our budget cuts, we reduced the assistant principal, the co-principal that we had in Ruggles Lane School to an assistant principal slash team chair. She's 50% of each. And I will stop my screen for a moment so Ashley can introduce herself, so you can put a name to a face. We are, as I said, Ashley's been a leader in many ways in this district. I think she's here tonight. Ashley, would you like to introduce yourself? Oh, she may be, oh, there she is.
Hi, how are you?
Ashley
I have
has been,
a couple
ahead.
kiddos running around out here, so I'm not gonna undo
sorry,
the
Ashley,
video.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. So we understand. Ashley's been an elementary teacher, as I said, for many, many years in our district, and a graduate of Quabbin, and a community member, and just a wonderful leader in many ways. She's been a teacher leader. She's taken on informal leadership roles over the years, and we're very excited to have her join our administrative team. So, so you will see her joining these meetings from time to time, I am sure.
Yes, thank you, Sheila. I am super excited. I've been an Oakham Elementary School graduate, a Quabbin graduate, and I've spent my career at Ruggles Lane. And I'm excited to move into the leadership role here at Ruggles.
Thank you, Ashley. I'll go back to,
Is this the Barry Cranston family?
Ashley is actually from the Stewart family.
Oh, Duncan and Heather?
Yes. And she married a member of the Barry Cranston family.
Okay.
We had a 6-day administrative summit over in 3 days in June, 3 days in August, where the entire administrative team met for full days, and we worked on a variety of things. Most importantly, we identified 4 district goals for the work this year. And you can see in the presentation, in the slide here, that we have actually, we've just really chosen to deepen our work in social emotional learning, academic growth, cultural proficiency, and increasing independence for students with disabilities. And so there's much more behind that, much more specificity, but I just put the images of 3 of the slides that I used in the opening day presentation with staff. We've asked them to, staff to really work on being a guide, and we came up with some taglines, if you will, or mantras, so that we could help keep the work alive. And we're going to continue to refer to those as we move through the year, through all of our professional development and our professional goal setting through the year. This has been a challenging year for hiring staff, human resources, and our payroll office and our principals have been very busy hiring, and we still have 19 open positions. Many of those positions are positions like lunch monitors, but we do have a few teaching positions that are open. Interestingly enough, we had 8 positions that we had to hire. We haven't quite finished that, hire twice, because we had applicants that accepted positions and then resigned before school started. That really is very unusual, but this year it has not been quite so unusual, and extremely time consuming. You think you've got somebody, you're very excited about them, and then they make a different decision. So that's been very challenging. We have had to add 9 positions that we did not plan on. And, you know, we can get into this in more detail at a future meeting, or if anybody wants more information, but we've had a few students join the district that had a one-on-one paraprofessionals that were required for them. And we also have added an additional, we are in the process of adding an additional speech language pathologist due to the increased needs of students in the district. So we are working on finding funding for those. I think we have a plan for that, but that has been very challenging. We honored 6 20-year employees at opening day. You can see the names there. Blythe Clark, Ashley Cranston, Shauna Koval, Jessica Rice, Diane McMorrow, and Shelley Zanlaritis, and 3 30-year employees, Christine Bodette, Kelly Murphy, and Peter Coppolino. And we did a new thing on opening day. We always do a little raffle for our employees on opening day. This year, we aligned the raffle with our 4 strategic objectives: Quabbin pride, academic achievement, social emotional achievement, and commitment to community. Each raffle winner receives 2 days off to pursue professional development in these areas, to work on these 2 areas, and their professional responsibilities on the 2 days that they get off will be fulfilled by one member of our central office team. So we're working on that. So they're developing their goals on what they want to work on, and they'll submit those to us, and then we will grant them the time to do that. We're going to have, and we offered some suggestions, commitment to community. We're encouraging folks to find a community service project within one of our 5 towns for their time out of the district. And the others you can see, we're going to ask if they're working on Quabbin Pride, they're going to do something that will help improve community involvement or recognition of some of the wonderful things that happen in our school district to try to build pride. And then they're going to, the academic achievement and social emotional achievement is more about pursuing some professional learning and then bringing it back to the district. We had very successful school openings in all of our schools. And we have 17 students returning from homeschooling so far this year. And we have 72 new school choice students. That is an overall increase of 1 because we had 71 leave us at the end of the year through graduation or for other reasons. And our COVID protocols remain unchanged. So if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I would like Colleen or Joe to just report a little bit on teaching and learning and support.
And I don't have a problem. Any question for the superintendent? School committee members?
Well, just one comment. You had mentioned that this is going to go to town leaders and so forth. I think parents and the Barry Gazette would be good recipients also.
Sure, absolutely.
If you spare the paper.
Good point. Superintendent?
Colleen, would you like to report on your summer camps and acceleration academies?
Sure, and I'll just encourage Mr. Wyman to jump in at any point and any of the administrators because many of these programs happened in their building. So we had shared over the summer about our STEM and our STEM early literacy camp. You met a few of our students early on in the program. So those are our numbers. And one thing that we are super proud of is that program was 0 cost to our families. We also, the feedback from the students and the families on an everyday regular basis was very, very positive. And I want to highlight the picture of the student working to the right. We were able to purchase some early robotics. So the students are working with robots that have color sensors, and those pads of different colors allow them to program the robot to do different things, make a 90-degree turn to the right, turn around 360. So the students, they're really designed for our earliest learners, K-2. They started out at the camp just really playing and seeing what they're capable of. By the end of our camp, they were able to design challenges to make their robot travel in a square or a figure 8, different things like that. So that was a really early introduction to coding and robotics that we're super excited about. After our STEM camps were over, we held a 1-week acceleration academy. You'll remember these. We've gotten grants for these in the past. Sometimes they happen over school vacation, and one of them always happens a week or 2 before school starts. They're very specific grants in that we have to provide at least 4 hours of targeted instruction in the area of math or literacy, depending on the ages of the students. So we're really excited to let you know we had 60 students participate in those. They were held at Hubbardston this year. We had 19 of our staff members. There's a picture to the right of just some of the elementary staff that participated in the camps. Again, no cost to families. And I think one of the greatest benefits about the Acceleration Academy prior to the start of school, what we hear from parents and teachers is that the students show a different level of readiness on that first day of school in August. So especially for our kindergarten students who maybe have not been in a school setting before, if they come to those Acceleration Academies, they learn those routines, they learn some early skills. we also have to track data on them. So our kindergarten students, I have to just share this data because to me, it's so amazing. In 5 days' time, the average student knew 2 to 4 sounds, their letter sounds at the beginning of the week. And at the end of the week, they knew 18 to 20 letter sounds, which is just really incredible. And if you think about how that ties to learning how to read, it's a really great, it allows them a great start to feel successful in school. So I just wanted to share that. Again, if any principals or Mr. Wyman wants to jump in, please feel free. Our teacher, oh, go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to highlight in the summer STEM camp too is, we mentioned that there are 10 student interns. So just to be clear, those are 10 students that either graduated last spring or are still students at the high school. And they were able to work with us for the 5 weeks. I think they, had a great experience in terms of learning a lot. Some of them are very interested or potentially interested in pursuing careers in education. So maybe future Quabbin teachers or staff.
I also would like to add that at Hubbardston, we had, it was pretty amazing. The kids that came, all different kinds of kids, every different sort of kiddo came, and they all had a blast. Like that picture we took out of the playground, we were all out there playing, and kids were saying, can we do this again next year? And we love this. So they didn't feel like it was this intense school, but they all made progress, and those kiddos coming back in have really shown like they changed. They have, like Colleen referred to, the routines are in place, they're ready to go. It was really exciting. I'd love to expand that next year for our kindergarten students. I think those, like that early K1 kiddos, particularly, the post-COVID students, I think it's really critical that that 1 week time made a huge difference. And it wasn't grueling. Like it honestly, in my head, I thought, oh my gosh, who's going to come to this the last week in August, whatever, but they came and they loved it and the parents were thrilled. So I really applaud Colleen and everyone that worked on the grant, and that the faculty that did this. I mean, clearly they got paid, but you know what? Sometimes money isn't enough to get you out of your summer mode into school early. And these folks are super dedicated. They loved it. They worked so hard. I just was really happy to be part of it. So thanks to everybody that was involved.
Thanks, Jill. Our teachers also had a lot of opportunities to engage in professional learning over the summer. So we tried to put out a menu of options for teachers. A lot of times our teachers will take a course or do different things. And so we had feedback from professional development surveys about some of the things they were interested in working on. And so we put together a bit of a flyer, and we offered different opportunities for them to either receive PDPs, or if they worked on curriculum, they could get paid to do that. We even had some book clubs that kind of ran at night, just a really nice way for teachers to get together and talk about teaching and learning. So we want to thank all of our coaches, our academic coordinators, our tech integration specialists who ran that, and to all the teachers who participated. So we also have a picture down the bottom of our first day with our new staff. So that was our welcome to Quabbin Day. And you'll see that we had 42 new staff that started their day with us and began their mentoring. And I just want to give a super shout out to Nancy Landry and the entire central office team for putting that day together. It's a tremendous amount of work. And we hear from our new teachers that they felt very welcome. They feel very supported. So we want to thank everyone for that.
Thank you, Colleen. Dr. Campione also had some summer programs going on. And Kristen, would you like to talk about your extended school year?
Sure, thank you. And Dr. Allen, I'll just say that I had the pleasure last night of having dinner with the exchange student that my family hosted almost 40 years ago. So it's just timely how you opened the meeting. I was just really touched because 40 years ago, we still get together. I haven't seen him since before COVID, but we try to get together every time he's in Boston on business. So Someone, I don't know if it was you or Mark, but said, this will last, this connection, and it absolutely does. So. Okay, so extended school year programs for students with disabilities. I know we gave you an update over the summer, but it was probably before all that budget stuff. So I'm going to do it again just to refresh your memory. We had a program at Ruggles Lane for our elementary students, and then we had a program at the middle high school for our 6 through 12 students. Our postgraduates were still mostly out in the community, but when they needed to be in, they were at the middle high school for the summer. So we hosted students who, it's not new learning, but it's the criteria for the program is students who would experience significant regression. So our goal is that they come back as they left so that there's no regression of skills. So in addition to the post-grad program, we had 4 autism classrooms, 2 therapeutic classrooms, 2 life skills classrooms, 2 social skills classrooms. We had preschool, we had kindergarten, and then each grade level had a tutorial group. We had speech language therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision therapy. Our social workers were available. Our behavior analysts were on staff. So we had 132 students out of the 240 who were eligible. That may seem low, but that's pretty typical since I've been here at Quabbin, that we do have a lot of families that feel that summer break is summer break, and they do their own programs. They ask us for materials and things like that. So we did have 51 staff, more than we've ever had before. 19 professional staff and 32 paraprofessionals. For the first time ever, we had Monday through Thursday, all day, a full nurse. We had programs that ran for 6 weeks, 5 days, and we had programs that run 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days for 4 weeks. So I was so lucky, and I said this earlier to all of you, that our teachers and paraprofessionals signed up, were available, were ready to go. Many directors that I spoke to this summer were struggling to staff their programs. So I feel so lucky that we have the staff that we have. I want to thank everyone in my office, Laura and Cassandra, everyone in central office, Ruggles, and the middle high school for hosting our programs. Oh my gosh, Kevin and Andrew and all of Colleen and Joe and everyone for all your help. We did a little bit of collaborating. And it was nice to have the other camps in the program with us as well. So we had, along with the special education programs, our students then would leave our program and go to Colleen and Joe's, one of their STEM camps. So we worked together on some of the staffing for that. And Joe referenced the interns that they had from Quabbin. This was life-changing for some of our students with disabilities. They hired some of our high school students, and I just can't thank them enough for that. That was just such a great opportunity for them. And then lastly, I'll just end with the postgraduate news. They're so excited to be in their new space at New Braintree. They had a wonderful summer, but they have that place just all decked out now. It looks so great. They have all the space they need. They have like a store, they have like a room that's their video games and couches and kind of comfortable space to relax when they host other programs. And then they have their classroom and a kitchen. So it's really exciting to see them in their new space. This summer, they did a lot of things with the Oakmont High School group. They went to Crocker Pond, they took CPR. They did some planting and harvesting with Farmer Matt in New Braintree. They did some blueberry picking, and they worked in a restaurant. They continued their craft preparations, putting kits together at Bemis Farms. And they also worked at T-Bolt's Country Store in Spencer. So that's all I have for today. And thank you, as always, for all of your support for our special education students.
Dr. Allen?
I heard they washed fire trucks for New Braintree also. That's
Yeah,
great
we'll share-
community outreach.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
we'll share photos. Sheila took some amazing photos. I wasn't able to go that day, but yeah, we'll share those with you next time.
Mr. Welch has a brief outline of what his department has been working on. Andrew, do you want to just chime in a little bit, give the highlights?
Sure. So this summer we were actually short one of our full-time staff members, but we were lucky enough to hire a graduating senior to be a student intern for us for 4 weeks. It was a very busy summer for us. We ended up, we collected, cleaned, updated, and relabeled 1,953 Chromebooks between the elementary schools and the middle high school. We set up brand new laptops for all new instructional staff, which is the paras and teachers. We cleaned and reimaged every single classroom desktop computer, both physical cleaning and removing software. We moved 8 smart boards from different buildings into new teaching spaces for classrooms that had moved or spaces that had been retasked. We have currently pulled 1.6 miles of new Ethernet cable for the security system that's going to be installed at the high school for the camera system. We have about 3,000 more feet to go. We built 5 new domain controllers, which are the servers that run the underlying infrastructure for the district, and got those out and decommissioned the old ones. We finally put in a long-term battery backup solution that will run all of the main servers and backup servers at the middle high school building, which also are the backup servers for the elementary schools for 16 hours without power. We created user accounts for all new staff and students, as well as removing all of the accounts for students who have left the district and staff that have retired, because we pay per user for many of our licenses. And we have rostered most of the online education databases that the students use and the teachers use with their Chromebooks on a day-to-day basis. And so far, this first week of school, we have closed 432 technology help desk requests from staff and students. Our staff member who was out for the summer should be returning sometime next week. So we will be finally fully staffed again.
I asked Andrew a bunch of times, can we just hire some temps? He said, it doesn't work that way. Because they were just, I mean, it was incredibly busy for all departments this summer, as it is every summer. But when you are shorthanded and you have a small staff anyway, to lose 25% of your staff,
Right.
it's just next to impossible to do. So what our tech team accomplished was amazing as always. And, you know, we are so fortunate that I know that we've talked here about the cabling for the new camera system. That's saving us thousands and thousands of dollars. And that's being done in conjunction with the plant and facility staff as well. So.
Fantastic.
The remainder of the report is under Cheryl's.
Just had a quick question for Mr. Walsh. He was looking into implementing or incorporating YouTube into our operation. How's that going?
We're doing that tonight. We're recording tonight. Andrew, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so we've created a YouTube page specifically for the QRSD School Committee, which is called QRSD School Committee. So once this meeting is done recording tonight, we will be transcoding the video on Friday and uploading it tomorrow, as long as we don't run into any issues, but by the latest, it'll be up by Monday morning, and a link to the video will be posted to the website and will be sent out to social media.
Hence our recording for that.
Correct.
And that's accessed through the homepage?
It can be accessed through the homepage, yes.
Okay, good.
Before we go over to the administrative report section, I just want to make a comment. I like this perspective because it is the opening of school, and it is very, very important. I know that we're not doing the talking. I know the superintendent and her team is doing the talking, which is very apropos for an opening of school. So again, I hope also the audience appreciates not only the perspective of this type of a September meeting. I do like this outline. This outline is very good and clear and can be shared. And we like to hear, as you know we do, as committee members, of not only knowing the ins and outs that are happening, but also from the students and the staff alike. Because without the students and the staff, we wouldn't be here. So very, very, very informative. It capsulizes a lot what's happening in the district, and it's only the beginning of the year. So first week. So there's no other comment for the superintendent. Cheryl, for the administrator, for the Director of Administrative Services report.
So the committee won't have my first bulleted item because I don't use Google Docs and I inadvertently erased the entire document for the team this afternoon. And then I noticed that this didn't get on. So my first bullet is that the district corresponded with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education 44 times in regards to our 1/12 budget and our FY23 budget process. We also were short-staffed this summer for 6 weeks from May and June as we closed FY22 and opened FY23 and prepared for our audit. We celebrated the retirement of Donna Hanson. Some of you may know Donna. After 29 years of service with the district and the last 21 years were in my office, in the business office. Our auditors were on site just 6 weeks after June 30th. Most of our documents were provided to them in their portal prior to them arriving on site. The audit firm partner was on site for 2 of the 3 days with the other 2 staff auditors. During July and August, we processed 657 purchase orders totaling over $10.2 million. And during that same time period, we processed 12 payroll warrants totaling $1.1 million. Kevin Clark, our plant facilities manager, provided me with the data in the plant facilities department. As you heard from Colleen and Joe, there were a lot of programs going on in our buildings. Kristen also had a number of programs going on in our buildings. So the plant facilities team created their schedule around all of these other programs that were going on in our district. They also were short-staffed by 2 full-time positions for the whole summer. At one point, they were down 6 employees. We did hire 6 summer employees who worked part-time. They're also, as Andrew said, they're working together and pulling that cable for the new camera system. And we paid 480 hours of overtime for months of July and August. At the middle high school, you may or may not know that we hired a plant facilities supervisor last year, and that's actually Mr. Ed Velarde, who's been a custodian with us for close to 30 years, I believe. And when he came to the middle high school, he said, we are waxing this entire building this summer. So they stripped and waxed all 160 plus offices and classrooms in the middle high school using 400 gallons of stripper and 450 gallons of wax. Every hallway and classroom received 6 coats of wax. They did clean 14 sets of bathrooms, repainted the lines on 4 parking lots, relocated 16 offices or classrooms, repainted, shampooed, and cleaned those offices and classrooms. Sometimes they moved them more than once. They relocated the large library shelving to Ruggles Lane in New Braintree Grade School, square scrubbed and refinished the 2 gyms in the dance room. They stripped and waxed the cafeteria and also painted the kitchen storage area. That has never been done since I've been here. They trenched power 80 plus feet to the scoreboard over here at the varsity baseball field and the field hockey field. Otherwise, the coaches are actually dragging an electrical cord over every game. They repainted and re-roofed the athletic shed on the back field and contracted with vendors to rebuild 8 failing catch basin structures in our parking lot and another contractor to help fix the parking lot and handicap curb that eliminated a 2-inch drop in our sidewalk, creating a fall hazard. At the elementary schools at Ruggles Lane, they completed the underground heat piping repair project. The pipe was actually 4.5 feet below the courtyard and the floor. The plant facilities committee saw that when we went and visited Ruggles Lane. That saved us thousands of dollars for contracting. Also at Ruggles Lane, not only the plant facilities team, but also the superintendent and I attended multiple meetings with Barry officials related to the repaving project, which seems to be done, but it's not really done at this point. They relocated classrooms and furniture from Ruggles Lane to the middle high school. At Hardwick Elementary School, installed 41 plus or minus feet of fencing around the propane fill area. That was very dangerous. Again, the plant facilities subcommittee saw that when we visited there. And they have begun painting the parking lot striping over it there as well. At Hubbardson Center School, they completed the parking lot striping. The plant facility staff also replaced all metal halide lighting with LEDs. That's with a national grid rebate, but our staff did the work. They also did that at OCAM. And at Hubbardston Mr. Clark spent a lot of time overseeing the insurance contractor that repaired and sanded and refinished the gym floor due to the damage during the roof project. At New Braintree Grade School, they reopened the building, relocated classrooms that were in New Braintree Grade School to Oakham and the other way around. And at Oakham, they replaced the old lighting with LED lights in the gyms, which is a project that we had hoped to do for many, many years. And according to the numbers, provided 40% more lighting in that gym. In the school nutrition office, our director attended countless, we lost count to how many meetings she attended at the local, state, and federal level regarding school nutrition and awaiting news about free meals for all and any waivers for the school year. She invested over $158,000 in new equipment this summer. However, not all of it is here as of yet. New equipment ordered to add another point of service at our high school has not arrived. We're hoping it'll be here by October. She purchased a stacked pizza oven at the high school, which allows a pizza to be baked in 3 minutes rather than 15 minutes. That helps serve the students more quickly. She purchased a new warmer at Ruggles Lane School. And she's hopefully going to be fully staffed at the beginning of school, but then a supervisor at Hubbardston Center School did not come to work. And so the director has been the supervisor at Hubbardston Center School. She put out a please help me for tomorrow because she was going to be the only person at Hubbardston Center School. She's hoping her staff member who's been ill will be back. Otherwise, Miss Scary will be over there serving kids. And we have another supervisor who's leaving us next Wednesday. So it doesn't look like she'll be very successful in having a full staff for much of this year.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, so no warrants?
Oh, if you want me to do that, I'll do that now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yes, I do have warrant numbers. This has been, I emailed them to you. Since our last meeting, Mr. Deschamps has approved the biweekly payroll warrants 3, 4, and 5, and weekly payroll warrants 4 through 11, and accounts payable warrants 5A, 6A, 7B, 8A, 9FP, 10FQ, 11FR, 12B, 13A, 14B, 15B, 16A, 17FR, 18A, and 19FQ. In addition, in your packet, I have the closing reports for FY22. The new report is of the general fund. I do need to mention that there are extra columns at the end of this report since I gave you a report back in, I believe it was July. We had a problem when we went to roll our purchase orders. There are little dollars here and there. So we are ending our year with $735,838, which will drop to E&D. You also have the green report, which is the grant cash and fund balance report, shows you where we are with all of our grants. I'd like to point out this report is structured a little bit differently now. Grants are different than they have been in the past. Many grants, you're allowed to roll over money from year to year. Those grants are reported on here as an FY21 CO or carryover grant. And in the column for ending cash balance, you'll see that some of them have an NA, not applicable, because you can't do the math. In almost all the carryover grants, you'll receive revenue in 1 year that is not spent till the next year. So the math on this report doesn't work. I decided to put an NA there. I have a note at the bottom. And also there's negative cash balances because in the old days, you used to, depending on the level of the grant amount, you get all the money up front, or you get half the money up front, or you get it quarterly. Now you really spend it first and the state reimburses you. So there are times when you don't have the cash balance, but it's been requested. During our closing of the year, went through each one of these, all of our accounts, to make sure we were not in a negative cash balance without already been requesting the money in June. So we have all of this money coming in. We won't run into problems when we're doing our services for E&D. Other than that, I am done.
Okay, any questions? Go ahead.
Just a quick comment. You mentioned the athletic shed out on the fields. Yeah. My son built that 25 years ago under the supervision of Wally Hall.
Wow. So yeah, they had to put a new roof on it. Some critters were getting in, so they made it all weather tight again.
I can believe that, but it's 25 years old.
And again, as you notice, a very, oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yes.
You can finish.
No, you, go ahead.
I'm in a different
No, go right ahead.
I just wanted to comment on this
That's-
beautiful packet that we got. And I just wanted to say that this brings a greater depth of transparency to the community and to the stakeholders. You know, this really just puts it out there in black and white because, you know, we know sitting here that things are very transparent, but I'm not so sure that the community and the public know how transparent things really are. So this is a great way, again, to, you know, show the community exactly what is happening with transparency. So this is really wonderful.
Particularly finance committee members.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Your point is well taken. I was just going to say a comment about that because the opening of school and, you know, the first meeting, it really is about what happened, what is happening and what really is going on. Some folks, and I'm not here, you know, we have a budget and every year for many years, and they think that some folks, not they, some folks think that, you know, you're spending it willy-nilly or doing this or holding on to. My gosh, we start looking. And lastly, we're still understaffed. So you're asking people to do more with less. And then we have the evidence as we continue to be transparent and seeing what you do. So yes, I'm glad to hear this, and I don't mind that we have a more thorough outline with the various directors. And that was a great perspective that came out of their administrative summit and realized, not only because of the budget piece, I think it's also we here and we know we're transparent. We know we're here and we welcome people to start in November, December and go through us all these budget. We'll do it all. But this is a nice way of sharing it to others as well.
Mr. Chairman, if
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I would like to say that was a fantastic report from Planned Facilities people. Actually, it's unbelievable how much work they did.
Yeah.
And also across the district, it's fantastic. The staff just keeps stepping up.
Yes,
And we are so damn lucky.
yes, indeed.
Right on, Ned. Superintendent?
Yeah, I would just welcome comments from committee members. If there's something that you think would be valuable to include in this report, going forward, please let us know and we will try to capture that. So, you know, in the absence of your feedback, we will present what we think is most important. But again, if there are things that you would like highlighted that you think would be valuable, not only for you, but for the community at large, we would love to hear about those things, and we'll try to take care of that.
Fantastic. Teacher Advisory Council this evening?
Mr. Barringer is here.
Yeah, there he is.
Mr. Barringer, welcome.
Andrew, do you have that PowerPoint that I emailed you? It only has 9 slides. I'm just joking. I really appreciate seeing all that too. And, you know, I think there's a lot of really awesome things going on in this district right now. You know, I come here and I'm always honest with you folks. And sometimes, you know, it's not everything that you want to hear, but I can tell you that I'm hearing the same stories K through 12 from kids and from adults. And that's that it feels like school is finally back. And I want to say that again, it feels like school is finally back. The behaviors that we are seeing in buildings are definitely far improved. I think there's clear plans from elementary school to high school on how to make these kids come back and feel like school is normal again. I really hope we are out of this COVID mess, knock on hard wood. But it feels like for the first time that we're back at school and there's a lot of excitement. Kids are very interested in everything that is going on. And I do feel like all of us, adults included, we kind of got in a little bit of a fog. And I feel like we're emerging out of it, you know, and I see as a teacher, and that's what I'm here to represent tonight. I think a lot of us developed some skills from COVID that are helping us to be better instructors. You know, a lot of people were forced to change their game a little bit. And what I'm seeing in classrooms is people continuing to balance the teacher-centered instruction with the skills-based instruction and having a lot of hands-on learning going on and having a lot of autonomous learning going on too. So I'm really optimistic about this year. And I'm hearing a lot of great things from all the different buildings. So, you know, let's keep it going. I feel like we have a lot of good momentum going. I also, the biggest reason I came here tonight is I also, being the QRTA president, mostly because no one else wants it, Tex Sarabia was in this position. And I think I'm in a unique spot because I had Tex as a teacher. I then taught with Tex, which meant I didn't always agree with Tex, but I respected him because he was always fighting for teachers and kids. Whenever there was a class that maybe struggled with an advisor or had 5 advisors resign, Tex was the person you'd call to say, you need to figure out how to work with these kids. You know, this happened a lot in the 70s and 80s, or so I hear, because I wasn't there. But Tex, to me, was a legend, and we define legends in different ways. And I'm going to define it as an individual who leaves an impact on you, whether you spent 5 minutes with him or 5,000 hours. There was no one like him. And he was, to me, a person of great passion. And he was also a person of great service. He went on after teaching to go to school committee. And it's weird. I heard rumors he even voted once against the teacher contract. I was like, Tex, how can you do that? You were the QRT president. You would tell me I'm wearing a different hat. I'm like, I don't get it. You could have abstained, you know? And I don't know if that's true, because of course I don't really get to know how you all vote on those matters, but I had a lot of awesome experiences with him. And I know that a lot of teachers and people have different views on Tex, and I want to give an honest account of who he was. And at the end of the day, his facade, that guy had a big heart. He was not the person that he always presented himself as. And he came and made Quabbin a better place. And he served Quabbin until the end. And I have great respect for that. And Tex, if there's Zoom up top, you know, I hope you're listening to this, and you're going to be missed. And there's a lot of people that are going to miss you. And those that don't, they will always remember you, because there was only one Tex Sarabia. Thank you.
Well said. Yes.
Yeah. Evan's disappeared.
No, he's still here.
He's there.
He's there.
Camera.
Okay. Well, I hope the message has gone through to the teachers about the appreciation that we as a school committee have for the work that you and your colleagues did, where we would read in the paper about this school or that school. Oh, woe is us. We're going to hold our breath till we turn blue. We don't know what to do. We can't, we won't, we don't. You said it well when you reported to us a year or two ago. You said, you know, whatever it took, we just dug in and did it because it's for the kids. And it's very clear, I believe, to all of us that that happened and it was successful. You read about the state scores on tests going way plummeting. Ours 10th grade went up. It just, the teachers did a great job, hung together, hung in, worked very hard, and we have great appreciation for that because that's the kind of folks that are here. So thank you. And by the way, we all wish Summer well in her interview in a couple of days. She's a great kid.
Thank you. As a dad, that means a lot. I appreciate it. Quabbin's been awesome to her. But I just wanted to also say, more so in my role while I'm here, just thank you for your words. And I do believe that Quabbin, the whole district, we crushed the pandemic. We did as well as a district could do. I think there was good planning involved. I think there was open-mindedness involved between different stakeholders. I think Dr. Muir and I, someday when we're both retired, might, go out to dinner together and we can thank each other for how we got through that. That was hard. And you know, it was great getting to know Dr. Muir through that process. And I agree with you that teachers did amazing work. And I think administrators did amazing work too. And I think there was a little bit of luck involved too. With anything, whether it's a business venture or an education, no matter what data you have, sometimes you need a little bit of good luck. And I think that we had that in this district. And I do believe, you know, I don't know what the test scores say, and I probably won't even bother to look at those, but I'll tell you this, I think that our kids had a better experience than a lot of surrounding school districts. And there was risk involved in that, and it worked out. And we all made it through okay, and I'm really happy for that. So I will definitely pass those words along, but I can tell you that Dr. Muir and other leaders in buildings have definitely made it clear how grateful they are for the experience that teachers gave kids during the pandemic. So, and Andrew, by the way, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I say to him that was crazy during the pandemic, and thank you. And these first 2 weeks, you guys need to negotiate a week off after that. It's insane how much you guys do. So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Student Advisory Council, Nick, is it next month?
We
Or
do not, we will have students next month, yes.
That's what I figured. Subcommittee reports. I think we just recently signed up in July, June or July it was. So I don't think we have anything, but I do want to make a comment in a minute. Administrative review. Nothing. Audit. Nothing, right? Budget, Mark?
Nothing other than the fact that we have a budget, which is really good. I mean, it was a little bit close, I think, maybe in the communities that we were in, but in the end, you know, Sheila made some very good remarks that, you know, we had a gentleman in Hubbardston who spoke up, who really a concerned citizen who felt that our budget was totally reasonable and expressed that concern to the general public, which was fine, and yeah, everything worked out, and we can move on.
Any comment from Hardwick? Observation wise?
Well, I was really happy to be in attendance and just see that, you know, we did get the support we needed, and it was really nice to see. We didn't quite get the numbers that I was hoping for, but I felt like it was a good back and forth, and in the end, we did get the support we needed, and, you know, no hard feelings. You know, with these small towns, I think everyone just realized that the people spoke, and we want to fully support the school, and it was our decision to do so. So we did.
Ned or Emily, any comment or observation?
Nope.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that it was nice seeing the support of the community. We had one parent there that was moved to tears when she spoke, talking about the great education that our kids received. So I just wanted to point that out.
Good. Cheryl?
I'd actually like to thank Sheila, because when we learned that all three towns had their meeting on the same night at almost the same time, and she approached it with writing a very impassioned speech for us to read on her behalf, I thought that was a way to get one voice out to everybody at the same time. And I thought that the speech that she wrote was fabulous.
It was a challenge to have all of those meetings on one night, and we really had to be, you know, just had to make a decision who was going where, and so it was just the only strategy, honestly, that I could think of, because we did want one consistent message to all of the communities, and we also had, you know, Cheryl and I really had in-depth knowledge. Cheryl, of course, can look up a number on it that I can't. She has that skill and those numbers at her fingertips. But you know, we did ask Greg Devine to represent us in New Braintree. He did a fabulous job. He was very willing to do that, but he just did, you know, he's just not, his role is different, and he knew what he knew, but I wanted to try to support him as well. So So I think it was a strategy that I do think, at least it was a consistent message. I don't know if it swayed the voters, but it definitely, we just tried to debunk some of the myths that we thought were out there in what we said, and hopefully that did help.
Good. Central office, no collective bargaining.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, plant and facilities.
Nothing.
Okay. Policy review and reform.
First Monday in October.
Okay, is the meeting. Okay. Special education. Peg is not here, right?
She's not here.
Yeah, we didn't meet. We don't have anything at this time.
Okay. Technology.
Nothing right now.
Okay, and the ad hoc, I know Lee is not here tonight, but I know. And just as a quick follow-up on the subcommittees, the list is posted for the subcommittee who's on them and the chairs. And just as a way of working, you don't have to outline it. If you feel like maybe Dr. Allen has the first Monday of the month for those type of things, it's nice to be able to, as a chair, if you can outline meetings during the year ahead of time, not only to be able to plan, we can always cancel a meeting. It doesn't have to be posted at the time. But if we connect with our superintendent, the Cheryl of the world for budget and see what works, not that I'm asking that you put a full calendar together, but if we come up with a potential routine. I know Dr. Allen has that first Monday of the month type perspective that goes through, just an idea to touch base with. With policy review, it's Dr. Allen. Plant and facilities, it's Walter. Technology is Dave. So again, that would be Andrew, those type of things. If there's nothing to meet on, you don't have to meet, of course. But at least we as chairs, as subcommittee members, reach out to be able to do that. You have your work cut out in the budget and how you do all that. But if you can work with, not asking you to tell me, but to work with the directors to see what scheduling can happen, that would be a nice thing to work. Give me one sec. Collective bargaining is Dave Deschamps, but we know that is different in regards to, that becomes more of an executive session perspective as we go through. That's going to be opening this year when we'll be dealing with the collective bargaining and with the administration with that. Budget is Mark. Special education is Peg. Central office is Joanne Cormier. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for working. And I said that I would stay involved along with Ned on the central office audit administrative review to help and to work together on that. Because thank you for new members wanting to participate and step up. It takes time. It takes time and the comfortability to do that. And when you do, you have the resources with you. You're not by yourself. There are the Cheryls, the Andrews, the Kristens, the superintendent, and you also have the colleagues around you on the teams, on the committees as well. Ad hoc has been Lee, and we'll see what happens for that. But that just kind of gives you the connection you need with Kevin and what happens in buildings along with Cheryl's of the world. And it's just, as you all supported this, we will have our second training with the school committee association for us as we continue to run effective teams. We're a team ourselves. And if we're a governance team, we need to do that as well. So the list will be posted in the Dropbox for everybody as well.
Emailed it to everybody.
And what?
I emailed it to everybody.
Emailed it as well. So you have all that. I apologize. I know we didn't have an August meeting. We would have kind of already been ahead of the game a bit, but we're okay. We'll work together and thank you. Cheryl.
It's usual standard practice for us to have the audit subcommittee just prior to the October school committee meeting. For the last few years, I think 3 years, the auditors have not been able to complete the report because the Worcester Regional Retirement actuarial report has not been done in time. And there's a lot of information because that's one of our retirement systems. There's a lot of documentation from that system that has to become part of our report. So I haven't reached out to the auditor yet, but I will contact him. And if he doesn't have it close, usually it's a week before that, he'll say whether he can make it or not. I tend to like having the audit report done, the exit conference done with the school committee in October, because then I'm able to use the audit numbers to present to the Department of Revenue for our E&D certification. So, Joanne, I'll contact you directly if I find out that that has to be delayed.
Okay.
And again, as we work together, I signed up for that committee as well. So we have Ned will help and Cheryl will walk us through. And it really is, again, when the committee has worked over the years, that the central office audit and administrative review were all kind of combined for that. Because years ago, ed reform law took certain things out. So the administrative review was very, very, personnel heavy at one point, in central office, but now it still has its place and its perspective without, at the same time, you had the policy review and reform. So you had those type of perspectives to come in. Maybe it was just policy years ago. And then you had they had reform and other pieces that came in that it made it more, palatable, workable, and a better arch to our oversight of shared governance. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not asking you to meet for meeting's sake. We would never ask that, but there are some things that we're behind that we'll get ahead of.
Just a question. Is it usually by Zoom or do we meet in person, or is that up to us?
It's your call. Well, Zoom is going to always be available to us. And it's your call if you didn't want to be here, but the answer is it's shared.
If you're going to do it by Zoom, the chairperson has to be
Here.
Got it. Okay.
Of the subcommittee, right?
Got it.
So one physical person has to be under the reg?
The chairperson.
Okay.
Do I get a key code?
We would be.
Oh, yeah, we would,
We'll be here.
that'll work. And again, one more comment, I know I'll put it over to the Hubbardson group. We're down one member. That's the school committee. We have 14, we have a committee of 15, but we have 14. There's a Hubbardston seat. And is there good news so far of where you are in the process?
We talked a little bit about it earlier, but the bottom line is we have 3 or 4 people on the 19th, which for the select board.
Yep, joint meeting.
Hopefully, we will come out of that with somebody. I mean, that's the closest. I mean, we were full up a year ago, well, 8 months ago, but things change. So
right.
That's the way it is. And hopefully we can pick somebody out of 4. 4 is that's a heavy number for interest.
Yeah.
In any board, really, in Hubbardston, not just the school committee.
That's fantastic. So looking forward to hearing from you next month on that. Unfinished business, FY23 budget update. Already shared or?
I will have for you at the October meeting. Right now, we're moving people around the district and we're hiring still. So when we know where we are and if we need transfers among categories to cover all of the salary changes, I'll come back in October with where we're going to start our year and to move forward. So there'll be probably a report at the October meeting.
Any public comment? Anyone? Jess?
I don't.
Okay. School committee concerns? Dr. Allen?
Yep, three comments. This is for Colleen and Joe. I have all of those letters there. They're historic letters. And I know we now have a civics course. And I think those are source documents that could be of great interest for that course. Each one could be a point of research, but it's founding the road system, or somebody who is an ambassador to France during the Revolutionary War or the War of Independence, or things of that ilk, or founding the post office, things of that sort. Some of the generals writing to the president and making reports. So I think they're fairly interesting, and each one is potential for a topic of research or whatever. I had given Sheila some. Did you ever get to look at any of them?
I did, I gave them to, I believe I gave them to Carrie Vassar, who's our humanities department leader, so.
I thought, don't you think they look pretty interesting?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a whole bunch more for you guys. Okay, that's point one. Point two, I was reading the Barry Gazette today, and poor little North Brookfield. And I realize it's dear to your heart, Trish, but they were saying that they're gonna have to cancel girls' soccer because they don't have enough players. And that's the third sports team to be canceled there because they don't have enough people. I know we do this hockey thing. Is it worth pursuing to kind of reach out to them to say, you want to send some of your kids up here?
I can certainly talk to Mr. Myville about that. We would have to establish a formal agreement, and for this season, our teams are already established, but in the future.
Yeah, I don't want to bounce any of our kids out of a spot that they would have, but on the other hand, it would strengthen the teams a little bit and help some kids. Even if it is North Brookfield, helping kids is what we're about.
Absolutely.
And the third point kind of follows on this budget. We get very entrenched and we have our perspective, and our job is to help prepare our children absolutely the best we can. But the other committees in town generally are trying to do the best job they can.
Right.
And we do have a budget now, and I guess I would like to send out some thanks to the various town committees, town meetings and so forth, because they did one way or another step up. And it is a stretch for them. It's a big stretch for them to do what they did in order to pass it so that we can do our job of educating kids. So I just wanted to kind of pass that along.
Good point. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
Ned?
because I feel like democracy's being attacked, I'm wondering if we should say the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning of our meetings and be an example.
We can certainly do that. I'll be honest with you. I've been on the committee for 15 years and I noticed that first time out, I never saw it. I know committees that start with a Pledge of Allegiance. And if that's something the committee wants to do, there's no objection on my part. We could certainly do that. And we can take that into consideration. So if we can, why don't we at least, we hear your concern and then we'll take it under advisement and be able to make a step forward on that. Any objection of, well, it's being shared right now and we don't have to say anything right now, but that's a good statement to make. And then we can go forward on that. Make sense?
Sure.
Just to add to that, didn't they do that at the special meeting? We started with the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah.
Do that at Barry. Do it at Barry.
How many meetings they do? I'm just wondering if that's something that school committees do. I haven't seen it, but we need a flag obviously in here, but to pledge too. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. I like it.
I have seen some state boards of education do that, Colorado, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And you're right, the town meeting, every town meeting in Barry that I've attended for those years. So absolutely good observation, and we'll go forward and take a look at that. Any other? Seeing? Yes, sir.
I just have a question for Dr. Muir. I see some school districts are coming up with rules for cell phones for the kids in school. Is that a problem with that you've heard of in Quabbin, the kids with their cell phones during the class? Or
Yes, we have rules.
we have a rule?
We do.
Policy.
We do have rules for cell phones in the middle high school and at the elementary school. Our students at the middle high school are allowed to use their phones at teacher discretion during class. So students can, if they're using it for an academic purpose and the teacher allows them to do so, they are allowed to use it. High school students are allowed to use it in the hallways during passing time and at lunch. And middle school students are allowed to use their cell phones only during lunch. And middle school students are generally not allowed to use it even during academic time. They have their Chromebooks. There might be an occasion where a teacher would make an exception for a particular circumstance, but generally speaking, in grades 6, 7, 8, they only are allowed to use it at lunch. And high school students in the hallways during passing time and lunch, and with teacher discretion during class time. So it is a problem. I think that I think high school and middle school, maybe Ms. DeMaurice might want to speak about it. I think that it's a little bit of a change from what we were allowing last year. And I think that when I have been in the high school, over the past few days, I have seen students complying with the new expectations. I'm sure there are exceptions to that, but I have not heard that it is a real problem. And every time you implement sort of a new rule in any school setting, there's always sort of those students that, time to test to see who's going to give in. But the faculty is unified behind these new expectations, and I think that goes a long way to helping students understand that we're consistent in our expectations. So.
Okay, great, thanks.
Can I just piggyback off what he said? Because I'm kind of living this right now. And I have to tell you, last year, working at a high school, it was awful. All you saw were kids with their heads in their phones. This year, I'm at the middle school. They have an away for the day policy. It is a whole new world. I have not seen a phone in the past 2 weeks. Kids are paying attention. They're engaged. It makes a difference. It really does. And it feels like I'm back to teaching instead of fighting against the kids on their phones. And it's very refreshing, and I wish more schools would do that because it does make a difference. It really does. We have a one-to-one initiative. Every kid has a Chromebook.
Right.
They have the technology there. So, I mean, I am for a strict cell phone policy because I've seen it work and I've seen how beneficial it is to the students.
Yeah, I know some school districts are using pouches, they're putting the kids'
Yeah.
phones in pouches. So they still have them available in an emergency or something like that. But
And which is nice too. We have the administration which is nice. The administration is keeping an eye and an ear on this and to make the change that we need. Because when we did several years ago, vote for, bring your phone, bring your device to school and from like that. So yes, with anything else, you can teach and we can advise, we can do things well. And then there were other times where, like you said, it was awful. You use that word awful. And then and there are changes going on. But I think that's a good point. And if it gets a little changes, I think the administration is always well prepared to come to talk with us about it.
Dr. Muir, if I can add a few things on that note.
Sure.
Can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think for middle.
Gotcha, yeah, okay.
For the middle school and the high schoolers, yes, there has been a little bit of a shift, but there's definitely a clear and consistent message being given about cell phones. And I would say technology in general. For the middle school, we do view them as, of course, younger and often away, as Dr. Muir had described, and teacher discretion only when needed. Lunchtime is an opportunity to sort of live with the technology if needed, but socialize as well. So a lot of the kids do use that time to de-escalate, to put their headphones on and just relax, but they're doing it very appropriately. I think there is a balance of teaching students the importance of staying focused, but at the same time living with technology in an appropriate way. And so for the high schoolers, it made a lot more sense for them at the upper grades to not really pick and choose the battles in the hallway with them if they're taking a peek at an email or a text that they have to send to their workplace after school. Those pieces are not important for us. You know, I mean, if they're in class on time, that's not a battle we want to choose with them. So I think, you know, the comments are very valid that the technology is dicey and tricky, but we are working with students to really balance expectations for them and making sure that, you know, their schoolwork is coming first and their mental health is coming first. So we had great assemblies this week as well for every grade, and we touched upon, you know, utilizing some of the electronics and really balancing their lives. So it's definitely a work in progress, but I think kids do see that it makes sense at a younger age to appropriately handle electronics a certain way. And as students are getting older, giving them a little bit more freedom, again, appropriately.
Well said. You talked about the balance and then the teaching of it and the use of it. Absolutely. And you're monitoring it and you'll make the changes where and when appropriate. Thank you.
Just one more point too about that is the impact on socialization skills face-to-face is really something else that is very concerning, because what I'm seeing in the schools is that a lot of kids don't have that natural inclination to socialize face-to-face because they're so used to communicating through their device, you know, and I still think that there's a place for, you know, human to human interaction, you know, so we're seeing that some kids have no idea of how to have a conversation, you know, so I mean, I think that, you know,
It's not
for
just,
6.5 hours a day.
it's not just
I mean,
kids though.
Oh, yeah, no,
Society in
society
general.
in general, absolutely.
I mean, anybody under 50 doesn't want to take a phone call, they want to text.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess,
Break
it's
down
a
society.
time saver, but it's.
Just my thoughts.
Different.
No, your concerns are valid, and that's why exactly we bring this up, to either bring to a committee or like that, or talk about it. But it really is right now, it's really an observation that's being made. And at the same time, the administration and from the principals are well aware. And you made it clear, expectations, and then how do we teach correctly and the balance of it. So.
Could I just build on one thing that Ms. Cormier said? One of our, without going into a lot of detail, in our academic goals this year for our professional development as well as our teacher goals, our focus is on student discourse. And so, you know, increasing the students' ability to interact with complex ideas and to deepen their understanding by having effective discourse. So all of our teachers across the district are working on that. We've been working on it. We worked on it last year, and we're continuing to work on that. But you are, you know, we completely agree with you. We do need to teach.
It's fantastic that it's one of the that's fantastic.
New business. First one, we have a motion to appoint Superintendent Sheila Muir as the Quabbin Regional School District Representative to the Keystone Educational Collaborative.
I make that motion and I add the CAPS Collaborative too to the same motion.
Okay. We could do that, but I think we should just keep it separate as it's outlined. We didn't put it together, so we could keep it. You know what?
I did.
You want to put it together?
Sure.
Well, are we okay with it?
No,
we
have to submit
Separate.
the vote. We have to submit.
Okay, the first one then, Keystone.
So I thought it had to be separate.
Dave second.
Dave second. First. Any other further discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier?
Yes.
Ms. Cormier?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Move
Next.
to be appointed to the CAPS Collaborative as representative.
Okay, that's not a problem. Second. And any questions, further discussion on that? Vote on that one.
Dr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Marsh?
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Yes.
Ms. Cartier,
Yes.
Ms. Cormier,
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler,
Yes.
Mr. Nutter,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Another item is yearly review of town census data for allocation of votes per Quabbin Regional School District Regional Agreement.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think we may need to table this item until next month. We need all the census data from the towns. This is something, as you know, that was on the amended agenda. It is something that the regional agreement outlines as something we should do prior to October 1st, but we are waiting for census data from one of our communities, so we don't have the necessary data to make this, to do the analysis of the weighted votes and then to present that to the committee. So I think we need to put that off until the October meeting. Last year, we did it in November because we were waiting for the federal census data, which not only potentially affects the weighted vote, but also could potentially affect the membership of the committee. So we did vote that in November last year.
So let's table it for next month.
Will we adjourn?
Remember, one more. You're way ahead, two ahead there. I want a quick vote on the table. Do I need a vote on the table? That's what I thought. So tabling the yearly review of town census data for allocation of votes for the regional agreement. Roll call, please.
Dr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Marsh,
Yes.
Mr. Deschamps,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Garvey,
Yes.
Ms. Cartier,
Yes.
Ms. Cormier,
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler,
Yes.
Mr. Nutter,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. There's no request for executive session.
Will we
So
adjourn?
is there a motion to adjourn?
Damn right.
And second.
Second.
And done.
You don't have any plans?